Arizona and Washington are not that different after all. These are massive potholes made by a water vortex, 80 feet wide, in a channel that's right next to the double cataract called Dry Falls. Arizona is also covered in cataracts. Nearly every cliff edge and mesa has them. And around this cataract are massive potholes. This one is 60 feet wide. All around this area, in Chinle, Arizona, massive potholes can be found. Large, steep, and very impressive. This sandstone is scarred by water erosion, by smaller channels and larger channels. A cataract is just the abrupt beginning of a channel with a U-shaped edge and a oververt cliff from the falling water. Plunge pools are also made by the force of falling water and are in line with the channel. The thin intermediary arms are what divide the channels. But where did all this water come from, and how was it catastrophically released? These are important questions to answer. But we first must recognize what these features are, before we can get to the big questions. Okay, now we're going to look at it in a little more detail. So this is the small town of Chinle, Arizona, named after the geologic formation. And if we go to this cliff edge here, this cliff edge here, and this area here, those are the three best spots where you can find all of the features I talked about in the video. So you can see the potholes. This one here is a good one. And you can get an idea, something like this, that's going to be more like a plunge pool because it flows down. And so this right here, this was one of the cataracts in the video. With that really thin arm here, oververt cliff. And we're looking at a channel that's about 600 feet wide. Pretty substantial. But let's go over to this spot, which is actually my favorite. If we look at this pothole here, measure the width, over 100 feet. So it's definitely on par with those Washington potholes. And then if we go over to this one here, this is that special cataract I talked about. That little natural bridge is going to be right there in that pocket. And then this is that larger pothole. That's about 60 feet. I think this is a really cool shaped channel. Kind of looks like a hand with fingers flowing into a larger channel here. And then I guess these cataracts would make it have two thumbs. And this is a nice one here. You can really see how it becomes a channel. Very distinct channel edges. 740 feet wide. And these are all completely vertical cliffs. And so one of the ideas is the way the rock fractures and it breaks off over time. You've got freeze thaw, weathering, and all of that. But think about this for a minute. If the rock fractured off and just fell down, it should be right there. But it's not. It was completely swept away and is gone. And if you look at this, you can actually see you can see how there's kind of a larger channel that went through here, right where the river is going through now. A little bit of a bank there. And then when you get out to this exit, you can see it expand outwards. Okay, so from that area there, let's go over to this spot here. This is a good mesa. Now there's an asymmetry to this mesa, and I'm not talking about its diagonal shape. The asymmetry is in its erosion. So on this side, which would be the southern side, it's got some really nice cataracts, perfectly rounded. Some even have a little point that leads into the ravine, very characteristic. But then if you look at the other side, the northern side of this mesa, look at how much smaller its cataracts are on this side. Tiny little bites. Let's get a measurement. We can measure like 60 feet. And then if you go to this one here, 340. So there's a big difference. Now think about this. The mesa is completely flat, right? If we're talking about rain erosion, should be very symmetrical. Just as much rainwater is going to be flowing off this side as it would be off of this side. But the erosion is different because we're not dealing with rainfall. Instead, we're seeing a larger current. So in this area, we're actually seeing a current from the north. And then if we go to this spot, if we look at this thing, really clean expansion bar, which would be showing a current from the south, as well as these here. And this is pretty wide, 2,000 feet. So when we're seeing erosional patterns of two different current directions, that's going to create a lot of turbulence. And that turbulence is what you need if you are going to form large water vortices to make these potholes. So it's not just water flow, but it's water flow of chaotic current directions. And if we go to this spot here, we can see how there's a path of scours. So these ridges of sediment can form in rivers and in inlets from water flow. But wind can also make parallel ridges of sand as well. So we're going to ignore that for now. And we're going to look at the scours, which are these circular depressions. Perfectly circular depressions. Some teardrops. Some are longer scours. But what we notice is that they form in a trail periodically. What formed that was transverse waves, aka standing waves. The sinusoidal wave motion dug these scours at the trough of the transverse wave. That is something that wind is not going to make. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and have a great day.